Hello everybody, today is July 29th and we're excited to present Brooke's litter to you. It's been an all-night party last night and she has given us 10 puppies and we're very excited to share their details with you. We have 3 girls and 7 boys. They're all really healthy and doing well. We're very pleased with that. She has done a fantastic job delivering these pups. They started coming late into the night last night and she finished up about 8 o'clock this morning and was just a real trooper. Katie is just an amazing labor and delivery nurse and is very diligent about taking excellent care of these pups as they're arriving and making sure they're all doing well and getting breathing and getting cleaned up and making sure that mama is taken care of, and Katie just does an amazing job. So she is at the moment taking a break and getting caught up on some sleep after being up for over 24 hours, making sure these pups arrive safely. And so it's my job to kind of be the newsman and the cameraman and share some of these details and announcements. So I'm happy to do that while Katie gets caught up on some sleep. So I've got Brooke out taking a potty break and a rest from the pups, and she's actually wanting to come back in, but she's gonna hog the camera if I let her back in here. She just is an excellent mama and is very diligent about keeping a watchful eye on her pups. And every time I pick one up, she wants to know exactly how I'm holding it, what I'm doing with it, and where I'm going. And so if I let her back in, then she's gonna just nuzzle these pups the entire time that I'm holding them. So I want to show them off to you. So 3 girls and 7 boys, and I've got my list of notes. Each one's a little bit different from the other ones. We have a very consistent size range with these pups this time around, and so we'll just start with the girls first. We've got purple, pink, and teal to present to you. And Miss Purple here is the larger, excuse me, I'm getting off on the wrong foot. Miss Pink is the larger of the 3 girls at 0.77 pounds. Miss Purple is 0.72 pounds and Miss Teal is 0.7. We've got one of these pups over here whining a little bit. I may let Mama take care of him. You can probably hear Brooke in the background. She's voicing her concern that I'm not letting her in. So we'll see what we can do to get through our list here without too many interruptions. So Miss Pink, 0.77 pounds. She has a solid chest and is basically a solid pup, other than the underside of her paws. There is a hint of some light hairs on there. Very cute that way. Miss Pink is just slightly darker than her sisters and doing really good. So that is Miss Pink. Miss Teal is 0.7 pounds. She has a solid chest and a very slight neck marking. In fact, if I tip her back, you might be able to catch that on a camera angle. If it's kind of right in the crease of her neck. She's probably going to wiggle too much for me to really show that off. She has a very slight mark on her neck. It'll probably be noticeable when, you know, she's full grown and gets her adult coat. She's a little bit lighter compared to Miss Pink. And Miss Purple over here, I'll bring her back, 0.72 pounds. She's solid on her chest. She has a very slight marking down in her groin area. She has just 1 or 2 light hairs down there. They may or may not be noticeable as she gets her adult coat. I should mention Miss Pink has a very slight marking in her groin area. They're kind of wiggly enough right now that I may not be able to get a good shot of those on the camera. But so those are our 3 gals, and they're just doing great. So pink, teal, and purple. So in no particular order, we've got the boys coming up next. I'm gonna probably set these 3 gals out and let Mama take care of them. Miss Teal is voicing her protest about not having some dinner right now, so we'll bring her out to Mama. Come on, Miss Pink and Purple. You two, we'll take you to Mama. Okay, so boys are up. You get to be the star of the show next. We've got Mr. Green here right at the base of the camera, so you get a good shot of these guys side by side right now. And so Mr. Red, he's 0.77 pounds. Mr. Brown is 0.77 pounds. That's him over here. And Mr. Green, he's off the side over here, 0.7 pounds. Mr. Orange over here, he's 0.72 pounds. Mr. Yellow, he's 0.68 pounds. Mr. Blue, 0.83 pounds, so he happens to be the bigger of the boys. And last but not least, Mr. Gray, he's 0.59 pounds, so he happens to be the smaller of the boys. If I put them kind of side by side with each other, you can kind of see their slight differences in size. And they're all within what I would consider normal range, even though Mr. Gray is a little bit on the smaller side. He's definitely not undersized for what we would consider normal for a pup. Brooke tends to have a little bit bigger puppies, and so we do see a kind of a consistent range in their sizes on the little bit bigger side of things. 0.7s is kind of a little bit on the bigger side of things for Vizsla pups, especially with a litter of 10 pups. So Mr. Red, we'll show him off a little bit to you. He has a solid chest and a very slight marking on his neck, very slight, and down in his groin. He's a little bit on the darker side of the overall colors spectrum. You can see him being a little bit darker, and Mr. Yellow a little bit lighter there in the camera. And so that is Mr. Red. Mr. Brown, he has a defined marking on his chest. He's got a line down the center of his chest, and he's got a slight marking on his neck. It's not very pronounced. He's got his back toes quite heavily marked, so he'll have some stocking feet, which is kind of fun. And then his front left and front right paws kind of have that underside markings on them, so won't notice those near as much in his adult coat, but It's just something that we make note of so we can keep them all straight. So Mr. Green is 0.7 pounds. He's getting nudged away by his brothers. And so he has a solid chest and a very slight neck marking and groin area. And so they're probably not even going to be visible on the camera. But that's Mr. Green. Mr. Orange over here, he has got a solid chest and a very slight groin marking. And the underside of his front paws, we're seeing some light hairs on the underside of his paws. But otherwise, a solid pup there. Mr. Yellow, so he's a little bit lighter in color from all the other pups, but we don't see any markings on him, so he's the most solid out of all the pups. And Mr. Blue, hiding over here, he's 0.83 pounds, the bigger one, and he has a very slight marking on the underside of his paws. We're seeing some lighter hairs and then a slight marking in his groin area, but an otherwise solid pup. And then Mr. Gray, who slid off camera over here, he has a wide stripe across the front of his chest. So his kind of goes left and right, his stripe on his chest, where Brown's line goes top to bottom, kind of up and down on his chest. He has a very slight marking on his neck. Probably won't be able to detect that on camera. But he does have a heavier marking in his groin area. It's a little more pronounced. You'll see that more on him than his brothers. And then the underside of his paws have some lighter color hairs too. So you'll notice some darker spots on their fur. At the moment, those are just spots from the afterbirth that are still drying up and coming off. These pups are less than 24 hours old. You'll notice their umbilical cords are still drying up, and some are longer than others, but they're still there. They haven't fallen off yet to create their little belly buttons. They're absolutely adorable, and at the moment they're completely blind from the standpoint of their eyes are sealed. They're not yet opened, and their ears are sealed. They're not yet opened. So their ears kind of have a thicker kind of cartilage feel to them. They're very soft fur, but these pups are just very, very dependent on their sense of smell for finding mom, figuring out where the food is, and where they're going to get their lunch from, and where they can snuggle with their siblings and everything else. So that is fun to watch as their ears and eyes become unsealed and they just start to develop. So we'll be into the vet in the next couple days to have their tails and dew claws done, and we'll do some more video updates about every week, maybe 10 days at some times, depending on our schedule and how things are going. But we'll give you guys regular updates about the growth and progress of these pups. They're all healthy and doing well, doing great. Brooke is doing fantastic. She delivered these pups and has done a great job with taking care of them and being attentive to them, and her milk's coming in, and we're thinking she'll have no problems with taking care of a large litter like this. So thanks for watching this, and we'll be in touch.